Hi, I'm Jennifer Bennett. I am the events coordinator here at Goodwin House, Alexandria. In 2001, I was a senior meeting manager for a healthcare consulting company in Washington, D.C. On September 11th, I was flying to Atlanta for a 4 or 5 hour trip to look at a couple hotels for a upcoming meeting for the Maternal and Child Health Bureau. I landed in Atlanta around 8:30. Went to the taxi stand where somebody was actually picking me up. Um, got in that car. We drove from the Atlanta airport to our first hotel. We're talking on the way. We didn't have the radios on. We didn't quite know what was going on. As soon as I walked into the hotel in Atlanta, the sales manager came running up to me and said, "We booked you a room. You can have it for as long as you want." And me and my contact looked at each other, having no idea what she was talking about, because really I had a meeting with them, and then I was going to go to two other hotels to look to see which one was best for our meeting. She said, "You mean you haven't heard?" And again, we looked at each other. I said, "No, what are you talking about?" She says, "Well, follow me," and we tried to find a television. There were no televisions anywhere around that we could get to. There were so many people crowded around them. So we went into the fitness center, and there was a TV on the treadmill. So there were three of us huddling around the treadmill watching the TV, and we saw the image of the plane going into the Pentagon. And that's when it all hit us that the world has just changed. How did we get from one place to another without knowing this? So we just kind of walked around. The lady's like, "Do you want to look at the hotel? Because there's nothing else to do." So we kind of were walking around looking at meeting space and saying, "Oh yeah, this would work for our meeting," and then we realized this was stupid. We went back and found a television to watch. Got into the hotel room that they gave me, called everybody I knew to tell them I was okay when I could get through. It would take me forever to get through. All the phones were down. And this was the time before the iPhones and all that, so we just had the little tiny phones, so there was really not a lot of service anywhere. I had nothing with me. I was going to be there for 4 or 5 hours. So the only shop that was open was the gift shop in the hotel. So I went down and bought clothes that I could from the gift shop, and if they had any makeup, face cleaners, anything like that, I bought what I could there and just kind of made do. For 2 days, I was talking to our travel agent. They finally found a car that they could give to me, but I had to get to the car rental within an hour of hanging up, or it was going to somebody else. So the hotel got me a cab. They got me to the car rental. I got a car. And again, this was earlier. We didn't have the big GPS systems and all that. And I'm from Alexandria, Virginia. I was in Atlanta. I had no idea how to get there. So they gave me a rough guess about how to do it, and I was kind of following. I would get off and ask questions every once in a while. But it was the strangest drive home. It was about a 10-hour, 11-hour ride home. And the majority of cars were trucks that were around me. And all the trucks had signs on them that said, "God bless the United States. We'll get through. We're all one. We're together." It was very strange. And got home about 11 hours later, called my folks, called everybody that I was home, I was safe, and just celebrated being home around family again. I really did feel like I was in another world. I mean, the fact that I got through an airport, and the Atlanta airport is a pretty large airport, that I didn't know anything was really odd. And being away from home by myself was a really strange feeling, because I was born and raised here in this area. So to be alone when something traumatic like that happened kind of tested my will a little bit. And I was stronger than I thought I would be, mostly because I had to be. There was nobody there to do it for me. I had to kind of do it myself. I feel like I grew up more with my ability of what I can handle, and also what I need to do and what I don't need to do. There's things that I used to think were really important, and now I'm like, that's not that important if I don't do that. You know what? I don't think it did. I think because I was a government meeting planner, um, the government was back at work, and I was working on an advisory committee for heritable disorders in children, and there was actually a big Senate hearing coming up on that. So we couldn't really stop what we were doing. So that was kind of a blessing in a way, that I got to focus on something else and not continuing thinking about it. I'm also very fortunate that while I knew a lot of people who worked at the Pentagon, none of them, everybody survived. None of them were injured. So I was very fortunate that even though I grew up in this area and knew a lot of people in the Pentagon and the government, that I didn't have any direct loss with that. So I was very fortunate with that. And I remember being in the hotel calling all these people who I knew worked in the Pentagon, and I would get the busy signal, or just a ring, and then the phone line would drop, and it would, for me to talk to one person to find out if they were okay, it would take 30 to 40 minutes just to get through that person, and then you would only have a couple seconds to talk to them, but just to hear their voice was very comforting. I'm not sure how it's, a broad thing. For me, I've never done a day trip again. I've never done a trip where I had planned to go in the morning and come back in the afternoon. I never go anywhere anymore without a package with me that's kind of not a survival, that's a little extreme, but something that keeps me going in case I get stranded somewhere. So I always have a to-go bag, which my friends always laugh at me because they think I'm over-prepared for things. So I'm not sure how that affected, other people, but for me, it just kind of, I was never a good traveler. I've never liked traveling, getting on planes. And my job at that time was traveling a lot. I would probably travel 30 times a year to different locations to look at hotels. And after 9/11, I kind of I let other people do that more often than I did. And I still don't travel that much. I'm just not a fan of getting on planes anymore. Whether that was because 9/11 happened or not, I'm not sure, but I would like to think we're more prepared for something, that we're more actively in tune for what's going on worldwide. I think maybe we were a little blasé before, and this kind of kicked us in the butt. Um, so I would like to think that we could handle it better, but I think we'll always unite together and work to make things better.